Kodah, good to be here.
Thank you. It's very good to be here with you, Jared.
We met through a mutual friend and great dinner party. I heard your story. I meet a lot of people. I'm like, this guy is easily one of the most interesting, wild people I've ever met. Has gone through the full spectrum of humanity
Thank you.
and a Renaissance man. That is my perception of you. And so I'm excited to chat with you today.
Well, thanks for creating the time. And maybe we should name our mutual friend, perhaps.
Sure.
Jeremy. Jeremy's great. I had imagined they had a conversation about inviting me to that dinner such that I could speak about my story, which I love doing, but very public facing. It's been actually an interesting journey realizing that it's not observable. Like now people who meet me have no idea about that whole chapter of my life.
Literally would have never guessed it.
And it's like they just see a dude here. And I'm like, I am just a dude. And I've always been just a dude. And I've always been a male. And all of that is true. And I also had this amazing experience. But I believe that when I really get the lessons of something I created in my life, I don't really need to remember it. I was always biohacking and looking for peak performance stuff. So in college, and I found Wim Hof when I was like 18, and I found Tim Ferriss when he had like a blog, and he hadn't written 4 Hour Work Week yet, or it might have been right when it was coming out, and I was just in college thinking about all this stuff, especially the breathwork stuff. And then I found binaural audio, and I was really interested in like how to accelerate learning. And then I didn't understand the language, but altered states of consciousness. I was very interested in that, like psychonaut. And I found that binaural audio put me into these trance states. And then I found hypnosis. So I found meditation first, and then meditation produced this state. And then I learned hypnosis could get me there faster with inductions. So you layer binaural audio and trance inductions, and you have, a psychonaut in training. It led me to this kind of erotic audio. And I never really was someone who watched porn. There was frequencies that would turn you on and then make you have orgasms. And I was just blown away by it. And I had that became my little side addiction thing in college. And there was a week where I discovered it and listened to these erotic hypnosis. And I didn't sleep for like 2 days because I was doing it all night. And then I started having sleep deprivation, and then recovered from that and got into running and vegan food and kind of biohacking, more standard stuff. And it was all good until I made it to Japan. I did the nomad thing, 2012, without a smartphone, Lonely Planet guidebooks, traveling around the world, landed in Japan, had a stable relationship. 3 years we were traveling together. And she went away for a conference, so I was in the apartment in Japan by myself. And I was like, what was with that erotic audio stuff? Let me just see how the field has advanced.
Right.
It had significantly advanced. Mm-hmm. And AI had hit it like a train. Mm-hmm. And that stuff was so much stronger. Mm-hmm. And so much that I could induce like a waking hallucination and trance, which is a thing. Your body is really susceptible to alternate truths when you're in trance. So temporarily I believed oh my God, I have a woman's hand, I have fingernail polish on, I have breasts. I was having this experience, and it was whoa, I didn't know what to make of it. And I started Googling, and they said, oh, you have gender dysphoria. And I had no idea what that was. Apparently back in the United States in 2014 was a transgender tipping point. I had no idea. I'm in Japan, disconnected from American culture. And this was the case. So the American psychotherapists were all saying, if you don't transition, you'll become suicidal. And I was like, what? I'm straight dude, living the best life, traveling the world, about to propose to this woman, feeling great. And they're saying, if I don't do something about this unknown diagnosis, then when I turn 40, I'll become suicidal, middle age. And that scared me because I trusted authorities at the time. With that thread of I'm in Japan, I get the diagnosis, and then I was terrified and have to take it seriously. So I basically break up with her and pursue the medical transition and get into the activist space. And I never accepted victim consciousness. I always was a creator and trusting the universe, had a deep rapport with my inner world. Mm-hmm. And I trust myself. So I never accepted victim. So I became a leader in the trans community because they were all in that victim frame. Mm-hmm. Did the medical stuff, and then kind of found transformational work with Landmark Sterling Institute, MITT, and then plant medicine. And the kind of victim hierarchy of oppression, social justice frame crumbled. And I was left with who am I, what's my name, what's my body actually. And then I had to really learn how to make decisions from that space. And I had been platformed and then suddenly was canceled because I was shifting out of that space. So I think that it led me to detransition, led me to just stop doing gender. And when I stopped doing gender, the truth of my male body was allowed to restructure. And I then studied in men's work and rebuilt masculinity. And there's some stuff that I hold from traditional masculinity and some stuff that I think we're ready for the next generation of. And I'm taking on the burden of being a good man despite all the critiques of masculinity, despite the critiques of the patriarchy. So a lot of what I do now is intentionally how to be a good man in the modern context. And I think a lot about spirituality and how that influences things like commercial governance, culture, etc. I'm accountable to the modifications I put my body through. I'm accountable to the experiences I had when I was living in that kind of decoherent state, medically altering my body. And now I'm accountable to my choices and the integrity of my word when I do things like business and when I take on investment, for example, or when we do deals. So accountability and sovereignty are very, very important.
So you broke up with a girl you were going to propose to.
Yeah.
And became a woman.
Yeah.
Only to eventually unbecome a woman back to a man.
Yeah.
That you started.
Yeah.
So that's wild, right? I don't know anything about. I don't have any political opinions. A horse in this race.
Yeah.
I've always been a guy, and I've never thought I've been anything else. I think the first topic that I thought was really interesting, of the many paths we could go down, was around if someone is in a transitionary period of any kind, not just gender, just anything, how does one make a truly aligned decision that isn't based on any outside authorities, any like mental models that they get from someone else that they just presuppose must be true? What's your framework for making correct decisions based on that?
Yeah. First, I filter out if I'm biasing for comfort. I think comfort is really correlated to suffering in a lot of ways, especially because what's unfamiliar is often could be more comfortable, but because it's unfamiliar, we can have fear for it. So I like to filter out, am I biasing towards comfort? Then am I biasing towards external validation? Am I just doing what's cool? And the way I do that is say, like, if I'm on a desert island by myself, and this is so, what would I do? Like, it's really just me and me. And really, what's a sovereign choice? How can I create an artificial condition to sovereign choice?
As in pretending no one would find out. You couldn't tell anyone, you can't post about it on social media.
There's no status.
Okay.
Right. Wealth that I can hold is wealth that's actually aligned with me, whereas wealth that is unaligned with me will slip through my hands. Like if I'm just doing it for money, it'll slip through my hands, I believe. But if it's something that I truly will do, no matter if it's profitable or not, but it can be commercially viable, I will do it because I enjoy the doing of. I'm not achieving the destination. I'm not striving for the end goal. I'm enjoying the journey of becoming the person who can be that. And then I become that person, then I am that. And then the wealth is a function of being that person. I isolate conditions for that. Would I do this regardless? I have rapport with myself. I actually trust myself. And I couldn't always say that.
So let's start there if I could. How does one build rapport with themselves?
Yeah, so it's interesting that this actually came from hypnosis, because in the world of hypnosis and meditation, the inner rapport is correlated to how deep one can go. So if I don't trust my subconscious, I actually can't go to it and I can't deepen into it. So the actual trance is a process of building that somatic rapport and then being able to be me in deeper stillness and actually be with all those parts of myself that are uncomfortable and get deeper and deeper into that presence. Just look at the kind of developmental psychology and the developmental biology. When we're fertilized, when we're the egg and conceived, the neuronal clusters that form the metronome for the heart is the first thing, and the heart begins to form, and then it goes up and down. It goes to the gut first, and then it goes to the brainstem, and then it goes to sex organs and other organs. But that gut area, more neurons than the brain. So there's actually a lot of information there. The Hindus talk about how we are always emitting and digesting each other. And they talk about things like love and relationships are immune system functions. You're emitting skin and air and bacteria, and I'm digesting it. And then my immune system response, me or not me, is how well we relate to each other. So it's very literal. The gut is actually navigating a lot of this. Investors have a gut feel, right?
Right.
Embodied cognition is another way of saying intuition. So I think a lot of it is my gut. Now, when I was considering altering my body, that was like a huge activation of like, this is right.
Your gut said it was right.
Yeah, because I was like, oh, I love women, but I could also be a woman, have my cake and eat it too. And whether or not it was right in the immediate material sense, of like I should castrate myself and medically alter my body, or whether it was right in a deeper spiritual sense, that this initiation is going to become me. Like, I'm going to become someone who can lead in this unique niche as a result of this initiation. I think it was more that latter. Like, this experience is one that I'm capable of having, few people are capable of having, and the world needs.
Yeah.
So I went for it, right?
Yeah.
Whether I was conscious of that stack of values or not.
So
that leads me to say no regrets. There's value in this. Yeah.
That's what I was just going to ask you was, so overall you have no regrets.
Yeah, no.
Even though like it is objectively a ridiculous journey.
Oh yeah.
It's like ridiculous. Like on the surface it's like, dude, what an ordeal to transition and then detransition.
Yeah, man.
Right? Like
hormones changing your body and mind and brain.
Surgeries.
Oh my God, surgeries. Those I can tell stories and stories about all that.
Yeah.
And now I have one coming up, right?
Yeah.
Gonna do another one. And it's like wild. But I trust my body's healing abilities so much.
Yeah. Can you just in 60 seconds or 90 seconds, like re-summarize that exact framework of like how to make aligned decisions? Because I heard near the end of that, it's like, hey, like I listen to my gut. Like you have mental frameworks and then you also have somatic frameworks or pressure checks.
I have a field of belief. I have a set of beliefs and I have values. I have my psychology and my somatics. So when I say trust, I mean alignment at all layers. Conviction is full alignment at all layers. So I try to isolate to actually be sovereign. So I'm not appealing to external validation. I'm actually doing what I enjoy doing regardless of outcome. And then I'm looking at, well, for me to enjoy this and be a relational being, it must be something the world needs, something that I'm actually good at, and something that they'll transact with and pay money for. So ikigai,
yes.
on top of on top of my gut being aligned with it, on top of being that person feels good to my body, not comfortable, but feels fulfilled. Like joy over a long period of time, not high amplitude blissed out joy, but like, joy over like, I'll be proud of myself telling my kids this is what I did.
Would that, and when you say joy, could that also mean like satisfaction?
Yeah,
like
for sure. One of the big integrations that I use between multiple systems to synthesize them is a word called syntrophy. And syntrophy is a common term in biology where it's like dust mites feed off of the human dust. So it's like the two components of an ecosystem
that fuel each other.
Fuel each other, exactly. So this syntrophic incentive design. So like my gut must be in alignment and my values must be in alignment such that they get more calibrated and dialed the more they relate to each other in this aligned way. And then my values, beliefs, and psychology all align more and get more higher resolution refinement based on continuing to deepen the alignment at each level of the stack. So they're syntrophically aligned.
The visual I got was like flywheels or like gears. So like if one gear is turning well, or like chakras or whatever, right? Like if one gear is turning well, all the other gears are turning well, and it's all part of a system.
Totally.
So yeah, I think I like that approach. Yeah. Because obviously like Western society, it's very mental. Yeah. And it's like, you know, there's no other components of decision making.
Yeah, and I would also just say that there aren't those components, but then they are so regardless of whether those systems articulate them or account for them or not. What I mean is there are bigger forces at play. And when I am in full alignment and I am making choices that are from sovereignty in full alignment, then I notice synchronicities.
Yeah.
Then like I meet that random person at the networking event, or like this thing happens but it seems like it's like the wrong, it's stressful, it's bad, but then actually it's better the way. It could not have happened otherwise. And actually that error was actually the opening for this amazing aligned outcome.
What I hear you saying is What if that was never a failure and that was part of the path to the grander thing, and it just seemed like a failure in the short term
Correct.
based on our limited perception of reality at this moment? Do you believe that there's such thing as mistakes?
Interesting. Well, it's a function of perspective. So whether I had a series of events that some might call a mistake during the process, and then I get to this amazing state, well, all that doesn't matter because it was perfect to get me here. And if I can acknowledge that I'm here, this isn't a mistake. This is perfect. So in the past doesn't really exist in that sense. There's no real mistakes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, now my ego can be attached to a past event, so I didn't get the lesson of it yet. So I can understand it as a mistake. It's almost a state of consciousness is an attachment to a past story. So the mistake could be that attachment. It's the root of suffering, right?
Yeah.
But if I can let go of that attachment and just work with what's so, everything gets to be perfect. And I get to let go of everything that I'm perceiving that's not perfect. And then from what's so, create something that works. But in the transformational industry, they call it applied ontology. But this is, landmark form, repatterning the subconscious. This is LifeSpring, MITT, all these courses talk about breakdown. Right? We get into breakdown, or we get into tension, and then it's an opportunity to shift and how we might shift. And shift our perspective, shift our frame, shift our way of being, such that everything that's so is workable. And the key is what words we use to describe what's so.
Why is that the key?
Because the world's made of words. And when we find the words, we can make the world. And making the world that's true is the process. So describing with somebody, engaging in the relationship with words with another person, we uncover truth. Truth in isolation is useful only in the inner world. Like truth in relation is where we manifest from. So I don't want to get too esoteric, but I think that the words that unlock agreement are what create everything. And if it's not true, it won't really work, or it'll hurt somewhere, or it'll create pain and suffering somewhere. But true words, have the potential in theory to scale infinitely.
We're both 35.
Yeah.
Let's say we're in our, kind of that late 20s, early 30s period. Is that a lot of times for people, it's that crucible.
Yes.
Hey, I don't like the direction I'm in, or I realize the first path is no longer for me, whatever. I believe I have skills. Self-belief is not necessarily a problem. I know I'm smart, capable, whatever. I have this paradox of choice. How do you recommend one operates when they're in the mud, when they're in the thick of it, and the next step is not so clear? They don't yet have clarity on what they should do. There's a million paths.
Yeah.
And maybe mentally they can put together a few models of an ikigai, but their system isn't telling them anything.
Been there. When I realized that being a trans woman was not the highest truth for my body, my gifts, and it was actually the transgender ideological complex was the barrier to me in delivering my gifts to the world.
How so?
Well, everything I was doing was filtered through trans. If I was in amazing rooms, it was because I was a token trans person, not because of the merits of my ideas. So then my ideas actually couldn't flourish because my ideas weren't really in the room. Just my body and this identity politics jargon was in the room. And if I strayed outside of the rhetoric, they didn't want to hear it. I was only there to be a token. So when I let go of that and had to credential my way into rooms based on my merits, then my ideas could spread. When I realized that I had to let go of gender ideology to actually contribute in the world, the prospect of detransitioning hit me. The accountability of that, the physical accountability, the relational accountability in my social groups and family, and all of that was pretty daunting. And I would still nomad. I'd sold my house and dissolved my company. It was the lockdowns during the pandemic. And this happened right after going to my first summit series in 2019 and encountering this ethical, high vibrational wealth, like people that were successful and aligned. And it was, dark night of the soul time for me. It was like, whoa, I thought I was on that trajectory. And now, wow, I'm actually far away from it, but I'm in physical proximity with it. So I know it's real. But to actually be of them, I got to shift some stuff. And then I started shifting. So there was moments in London where I was staying in my friend's, at one of his apartments. He had a bunch of units in London, real estate guy. And I was grateful to stay for free. Shaz was his name, and a friend from Bali. And I would just hape every night, trying to stabilize. I didn't know what was take the Zoom calls or whatever. I don't know what I was really doing. I had a company, but it wasn't really getting funding and struggling. Um, and David Data, Way of a Superior Man, sitting in that space between mountains. Right after you summit the first one, then wait. Don't say yes to the maybe. The hell yes, the full body yes is going to arrive. Mm-hmm. So I repurposed my mind from, instead of seeking how to make money, seeking how to execute my purpose, instead seek to co-regulate, seek to regulate the body, seek to be grounded, seek to be present, and increase my capacity to be here.
How does one increase their capacity to be here, especially if they didn't have previous successes, or like it's come down to survival, right? They don't have any financial cushion and they need to exist in the world.
Yeah. So one of the things that I've always done is experiential. So I do like fasting and things. I see if I can go a couple of days without spending any money, and like, call friends and ask like, hey, if I run out of money, can I stay on your sofa? I basically had it's called a wellness readiness action plan, like what I would do if it really failed. Mm-hmm. And in those conversations, I unlocked so many relationships. People were like, hell yeah, man. Like, you can have my spare bedroom for as many months as you need if that were to happen. Or like, whoa, yeah, please call me if you're in that, mental health crisis. And that revealed to me how much trust I had forgotten about, how much like social wealth.
The resources you already had.
Correct.
Yeah.
So that kind of picking up the phone and calling men and women in my life and having hard conversations allowed my body to remember, like, okay, just because I can't see them in this moment doesn't mean I don't have loving relationships that have my back. That's where you actually do a social inventory of who would I call in a mental health emergency, like in the, like, say, days leading up to it, and then in the moment where I'm like about to cause harm to myself, who would I actually call? And I find that in having those conversations with the people and naming that this is the person I would call, and then calling them and talking to them about, would you answer the phone if I called in that situation, that unlocks a level of relationship that like bolsters my self-worth and reminds me who I actually am in the world, right? So that and then I brought that in earlier where we were talking about then trusting elders, building a relationship with elders. That then same principle reminds me of the social capital in my network, and the resources that people are, and the relationships founded in love and trust that are actually in this life with me. And that helps me remember who I am and or discover who I am. Because sometimes my self-image is actually not true. And actually I may be wrong about myself. And actually other people around me who've known me, who've watched me, have a less biased perspective because they're not in my head all the time. And they actually remind me who I am sometimes.
That requires a lot of courage and bravery. Like, I can't imagine having those conversations. So let's say someone's in that situation where they really need to have those, or they need the readiness action plan or whatever. How does one like muster up the courage or bravery to call someone and be like, hey, I'm really struggling for XYZ reasons or whatever. You're someone that I trust and I'm calling, because that's a very vulnerable thing. Like, how do you work that up?
Totally. Well, even asking someone to invest in your company is vulnerable. Even offering an opportunity or a service to somebody is vulnerable. That's the same reason people get nervous about asking to be paid what they're worth, because their self-worth isn't congruent with the value of their service. So being comfortable in discomfort, anchoring in the fact that this human experience is messy and it's relational. And if I'm not in the relational element of it, I'm not actually in this human experience. I'm in this isolated, myopic silo. So always breaking out of my silo. It's like, we call it picking up the phone. Whenever I'm in my head or the monkeys in my head, pick up the phone and break out of my thought clusters and get into someone else's world a little bit, and someone who tell me the truth. And I find that not only do people care about me enough to be in that conversation with me, but we both get something out of it. Imagine if someone called you like that. How much of a gift did they just give you?
And it'd be like a huge conversation.
Right.
Yeah.
And so asking for my thoughts on something that vulnerable, I'm like, thank you for thinking of me as that. Thank you for creating me as that person in your life. Wow, I'm a player in your video game, and you've made me the person you're going to call in that moment. or you may be the person you're going to ask me for relationship advice or career advice. Thank you for seeing me like that. You've given me a gift. So knowing that that's how I would respond to the call gives me the confidence to then make the call to someone else and give them the gift of being that person for me.
Because you're not coming to them saying, woe is me,
No.
pity me. I'm giving you the gift by, seeing you in this way.
Yeah.
And allowing you to be this beacon for
you
me.
get to be my mentor in this moment. You can be my thought partner in this moment. And I'm like, hey, I need help.
Yeah.
That's the thing that men have trouble with.
Yeah.
Asking for help. And the reality is, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together.
It's a banger African proverb. A classic, yeah. What is that, Ubuntu?
Mm-hmm. So that was a big process. And then it was, meditation was huge for me. And watching my mind and learning how it moved. And not over optimizing for stillness all the time, but actually just understanding, like keeping a read on it. Okay, I'm in stress mode, I'm in build mode, I'm in ambition mode, okay. And then like, all right, now the meetings are over, it's 7 o'clock at night, and do I go smoke weed or watch YouTube? No, let's go for a walk, right? Like, how do I manage my psychology? I learned a lot of that during transition because my hormones were changing and I had to manage my emotions. So I applied that here, and I managed my fear of uncertainty. So I became very comfortable in uncertainty, very comfortable in unknown. And that was critical, because it allowed me to actually not be hungry and stressed when I had real people who could actually make my business dreams come true. I wasn't like, let's talk about investment, let's talk about the deal. I was actually like, oh, let's hang out.
Yeah.
And then they would be like, hey man, I want to come tour your property. Hey, I want to see your deck.
Yeah.
But it was a relationship first, and the relationship wasn't like, some of those people, I met a lot of billionaires, and I met a lot of these ultra net worth family. I worked in Dubai at a fund of funds. I was World Economic Forum early on. At 24 years old, I got scouted by them. I was in their Global Shaper program. So I was always encountering these wealthy people. And at first, I was always like, how do I pitch them? But then I stopped, and they became friends. And then as friends, they were far more valuable than if they participated in any one deal.
Yeah.
Because then I'm calling them just to hang out and inviting them to something, just hang out. And then they're like, oh, by the way, you should talk to this guy. And that guy actually is like, yeah, I'm looking for a company that's doing that. Mm-hmm. And you're cool. Like, and so-and-so recommended you, so let's go. And it was the social network value. Same thing as when I did that wellness readiness action plan and mapped my social relationships on the personal side. I also realized that I'd already made it. Well, I hadn't, materialized the financial prosperity. I had all the money is literally there, less than a phone call away.
What would you say to people that didn't get access to those kinds of rooms early on, the World Economic Forums, et cetera, where they're like, oh, well, easy for you to say, you already had these people in their network.
Very fair.
Yeah.
So the why of how I got access, because I was born on a farm, didn't have that access inherently. And it came from, I think the main thing is intergenerational relationships. The reason why I, of all people, was a leader in the trans community is because I went and found the old grandmas. I found the 67-year-old black trans woman and was like, let's have coffee, let's have tea. And she just poured into me the wisdom of the whole transgender movement, and then coached me and then introduced me. And then when all the activists and all the young blue-haired San Francisco queers were trying all their jargon, and I was like, hey, Monica, what's the truth? And she was like, I've been here before. And so the same in business. I always listen to my elders. And that has made the biggest difference. So in business right now, my business partner, David DaCosta, is 64. And yes, the gray hairs make a difference. Yes, he's had some exits, but he hasn't given me $1. And he spotted me money that I give him back the next week when a check was late. But he hasn't paid me anything. We're equal partners. And that's because his wisdom and his guidance has calibrated my potential. It's that intergenerational relationship that most young people do not have the humility to invest in. Because so many times I'm like, I'm smarter than this, I would do it differently. You just don't, you know, the internet when you were little, you don't know what you're talking about. And he's like, slow down, grasshopper. And I didn't take that personally. I was like, okay, thank you. Where am I going too fast?
Another thing you talked about before was integrity. And What is your definition of integrity?
Mm.
Why does it matter?
Mm.
Let's start there.
Yeah, so we encounter the word integrity in like architecture and structure. It's like if the building is in integrity, it can hold weight, right? So there's something around if I am my word, in the beginning there was the word, then me saying I will do something is the same as it having been done because I'm in integrity, right? It's just power, it holds life force in it. So I look at integrity as a functional definition is workability. If it's in integrity, it works, right? So if our systems are in integrity, it works for all participants. If relationships are in integrity, it's working. If it's a breakdown in integrity, it's not a moral issue, it just doesn't work. You said this, you did that, it just doesn't work. You're not morally wrong, but this is out of integrity. Let's get back in integrity. Boom, it works again, right? So the world's made of words. So our words and our agreements are literally the context of our relationships. So when I am my word, I am in integrity, and my actions are just my aligned action is a byproduct. Now, am I in integrity internally? I strive to be in integrity as far as I am conscious. And then when I'm out of integrity, I do my best to be humble and clean it up.
How does one even get in integrity? I think what I heard was, are your actions and your words aligned? Yes or no?
Yes, and I would look at my belief patterns too. Mm-hmm. So if we have the present moment, we also have all our past experiences that we've created for ourselves based on programming, software, subconscious that we made in the first 6 years of our life. Mm-hmm. You're in theta frequency, you're an open sponge. The survival patterns of your parents.
You're hardcore conditioned until age 7.
Yeah. They say, Jesuits say, give me the first 6 years of a child's life and I'll give you the man. And they mean it. Like they do. That's prime period.
Isn't that fucked up in a way? It's like we have no control and that determines everything.
Until we consciously begin to examine and edit and reassign our parts, new tasks.
Yeah.
So it's not like, hey, bad job, subconscious, you made this mess. No, it's like, good job. You did exactly what the formula should do. Now you're ready for a new tool. The present moment can actually be open and spacious. And if we have this future possibility, like my company is worth $10 million, and I call that in, if this is all full of stuff, it just bounces off or it doesn't fit. So I have to create the space to call it in and actually hold it. And that requires me going in and repatterning these beliefs and formulas, getting back in integrity in the belief level and the subconscious level, so that I actually can be the person who has that state, that future state, and can say it's my present state.
So how specifically do we repattern the subconscious?
Yeah, so extracting these mindset pieces is really important. I have a piece of text called The Gift. It came from Robert Christensen. I can send it to you. And it's a set of statements. He did like all the NA, AA work, and he turned his life around from being a struggling addict to being clean and sober. Business is worth over 25 million. He's crushing it. Basically a coach called the Durable Innovator. And he has these beliefs. And what I do is I read these belief statements out and I record myself and I listen to my vocal tone. And it's like, oh, I'm not accepting that part. It's like, I am a gift. Believers and supporters surround me, right? Everything in my life happens exactly to the portion I imagined it to be. Like these statements, I am forgiven. I forgive all those I believe harmed me, right? When I used to say those things, my tone would shift and it was like, oh, I don't believe that.
Do you repeat it just until you believe it?
Yeah, you actually read it in front of the mirror and I listen to myself. I used to do it every morning. I did it every morning for 90 days and that really installed it. So that was one tool that is really tactical. And then this is what you do with another person. You can also do it with journaling, looking at my belief patterns. Okay, I keep experiencing this pattern. Like I keep getting the same mess again, or I get almost to the finish line with a deal and then it breaks. So I get almost to the relationship and then we break up for the same reason. Why am I doing that? Okay, I'm doing that because. Okay, is that actually the formula that aligns with what I say I want? No. How could I change it? So really analyzing my subconscious beliefs and getting those, it can happen with a coach who can help me analyze, and I've coached a lot of people in this area, like getting the self-worth and the beliefs in alignment to then be who I say I want to be. It's some cleaning of house. We call it shadow work, parts work, all these things. But it's really bespoke because we have beliefs and they came from somewhere. Culture, parents.
Epigenetic,
sure, yeah.
So that's really interesting. So what I hear is, just like extracting the beliefs, which again helps with someone just to soundboard, right?
Yeah.
And then really just like affirmations, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, it can be. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and because these are agreements.
Yeah.
It's my agreement with reality, right? Like I am in reality. It's interesting. The lights just went off.
Yeah.
Um, I am in reality on these terms, but do I actually know those terms?
Hmm.
I'm literally here having my human experience with this whole subconscious patterning, and I keep producing these results, but I want different results.
Yeah.
Who do I look at but me?
What percentage of reality do you think that we control with our state of awareness, with our words, our understanding and agreements with
Mm-hmm.
reality of, hey, this is what I expect from the external world and therefore it should mirror back to me,
Mm.
versus fate and destiny and karma and what is meant for us?
What percentage of
Yeah,
reality?
what is it like,
Well,
hey, yeah.
so the language there, so like we control the who is the we, who is the me that's controlling all of this. So when I get into a really quantumous state, I'm in this like high vibrational state, coherence, my will and the divine will are the same. But my ego structure, when I'm back in my 3D reality, has its wants and needs, food, water, shelter, and those are different. So that ego structure's influence on the world is, only limited by the integrity of my word, and the agreements I can make with other people, so relationships and rapport, and then influence. But when I'm in that like oversoul heightened consciousness, me and reality are the same. So I don't know the me that has control is kind of a leading question that could maybe be, it could, if I were to answer it and say that I am that heightened state, I'd be like a demigod, and that's
Mm-hmm.
troublesome, but and out of integrity in some areas. But the ego me controls, in a sense, influences, guides, creates the possibility of relationship in various areas, through all the people I'm in a relationship with. So these days, with social media, digital tools, business and agreements in that area, cultural influence, they have a lot of control. We have a lot. And if I'm being like a rough person, treating people poorly, that'll create a reality. But if I'm being a good person, striving to be good as far as I can, investing in the social bank, like investing in friends and showing up, it's going to come back. So I think in that sense, I have kind of control. There's another frame, reality transurfing, like vibrational state, coherence, and then being able to actually tune into possibilities where at other vibrational states, I would probably just see the problem and get mired in it. But if I'm actually in this possibility space, maybe I can actually see something differently, you
So
know?
what are the best ways to shift into a state of possibility?
Yeah. Transcending my circumstances, realizing where I'm attached, and then remembering that I have limited information. So when that intellectual humility, spiritual humility are always on ramps for me into flow. I'm a dancer, so contact improv is this humility space. Yes, I'll be structurally a masculine polarity where my feet are on the ground and she's maybe moving a little bit more, but I don't know where we're going to go next. I just know that I can handle it. And I'm playing with tolerance and stabilities won't fall over.
Mm-hmm.
But we're lifting and flowing, and it's just this exploration of the emergent dance that wants to come through the relationship with whoever I'm dancing with. And I think that is true in all things.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know where it's going to go. I don't know what's going to happen. But I'd be comfortable in keeping the richness of my experience within the tolerance of my body. So I don't always need to be going for the highest adrenaline, high octane experience. Every once in a while, you do a lift, you do a jump or a spin. But oftentimes, a beautiful dance is like slowly moving with your partner and getting into that presence. And that spectrum, there's so much to play with there.
My final question
Yeah.
of many more then for part one of this interview
Yeah.
is then how do we trust the unknown, especially when things are tough, or we're operating in a mental capacity with limited information, and we don't have a reason to trust the unknown, or we don't have that baseline belief.
How'd I get here? It's like there's a part of me that was not born. It's probably not going to die either. And if intellectual and spiritual humility, like I know there are bigger forces at play because I don't know how something is. Like I don't know how a tree grows literally. I can understand capillary action and nutrients in the soil and things, but I really don't know. And I didn't consciously in this lifetime come up with that. I didn't say, you know what would be good? Trees. They'd be really good. No, that was there. And I must be humble in the face of that. There's beauty here, and I don't know why it's beautiful, but it just is. So if I am a player in the game, like I may not, my ego structure may not have made this game, but it's beautiful, and I like playing it. And in fact, maybe I don't know what you believe, but some people say I died to be here. Right? The gods die to be us. But maybe we are a god who chose to be human, and fragment into all these different souls and different eyeballs watching each other and talking about stuff. And that gives me humility. I don't know how I got here. We don't really know why we're here. But I'm a meaning-making machine, and I get to make meaning out of it. And that's so worth it. Like, my meaning could be to make a new cell phone thing. My meaning could be to make a new fashion line. My meaning could be to make a big event venue in Los Angeles and bring the culture together. My meaning could be to spiritually initiate and train some Jedi to be wizards. I don't know what my meaning is. But I get to make something, try it, see who I become through that, and then on to the next. Like, entrepreneurship is a spiritual journey, and I'm down for it. I don't know if that answers your question. Yeah.
That's great, man. Yeah. We're going to wrap up part one here. Kodah Pip,
hey,
an interesting guy. There's a lot more we got to discuss, but thank you.
Thank you. It's a lot of fun.
A lot of fun.